Good morning. Well, today we're going to be doing, continuing on with part 2 of the installation, the air intake installation of the 987 airbox and 74 millimeter throttle body 987 plenum into my 986 Boxster. As I mentioned before, I had the dyno run done, baseline dyno run. Always good to know. And I see that it gives us 224.2 wheel horsepower. That is horsepower at the wheels. Develops mostly around 6,000 RPM. This is not surprising. What was good was 224.2 horsepower at the wheels is actually a pretty good result for a motor that is rated at 258 horsepower at the flywheel. Flywheel horsepower is good for advertising purposes, but doesn't serve much purpose on the track. And my torque range comes in at 203.2. Again, roughly between 4,000 and 6,000 RPM. That's not too surprising, but it's a good result. So, today what's on the agenda? Well, we're going to put in the plenum. That's the one of the first jobs. And then we'll be attaching the throttle body, putting back together the AOS lines, plugging that in, plugging the electricals in, the usual stuff. And we'll also have to figure out what we're going to need as a tube that will run between the 987 MAF adapter and the throttle body. Anyway, we'll get on that and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, great. Okay, now I took this one injector out, and I'm going to have to put it back in. I noticed when I pulled it out right out of here, the O-ring, this O-ring here, actually stayed inside, and I had a hard time getting it back in. And I looked inside and I said, "Oh, there's an O-ring in there," and here it is. So I put it back on here. Hopefully, I'll be able to get it back in. The O-ring looks okay. If I was really clever, I'd probably change it, but I don't have one, and well, I don't think it's going to cause a problem. It looks pretty healthy. It's not flattened or scored or anything, so we'll do that. Okay, so I cleaned this guy up a bit and put on new seals. Okay, so it's back together. I put back in the tubes and the fuel rail. Okay, so that cross tube is back in. I found the place to put the vacuum tube, as promised, and now we're ready to try and fit the new plenum. As you can see here, the cross tube is actually much bigger than than this part here, so it actually fits right over top of it. So the fun's going to be, I want to try and fit the old these rubber gasket thingies here. I want to fit that over there, which means I have to stretch it over this one. Apparently it's doable. I've heard this, but I'm hoping I get the feeling that it's not going to be easy. However, let's give it a shot. Well, amazingly enough, I did manage to get this thing on. These rubber parts did actually stretch over my plenum, and hopefully I'll be able to slide them into place. The trick really is brute force. I put this part down on the table, and I pushed this thing, angled it in, pushed the plenum into it. I used this trusty tool here. It's it's made for taking body parts off, the plastic screws and things. And this tool is incredible. I've used this tool for so many different things. Probably cost me like $5 or something, and it's been just great. I don't know what I'd do without it. I did, of course, purchase these larger gear clamps to fit over this, because the gear clamps that were on it would be too small to fit over the large plenum. So the plenum is now in place. I still have to do these couple of clamps up here, but it seems to be, I had to saw a little bit down here with my Dremel to get a little bit extra clearance. The AOS tube down here was a bit of a bear to get into place. It's got quite a bit of stress on it. I'm hoping it's going to be okay. That's why I put in this big tie wrap here to just to keep the thing pulled in, because it's a bit of an angle, and I don't know, I didn't like the way it clipped, but I think it should be okay, hopefully. I also, when I had re-put this piece up here, I had to angle it up as opposed to coming in from the bottom like on the other one. So what this has done is made a lot of stress on this connection here, so I added a little piece of vacuum line on here just in order to relieve that stress. There, the throttle body's in place. Not too much trouble, no problem putting in the throttle body. Putting in the plenum was a bit of a job. The stretching those seals over the end of the large thing was difficult, and when I was putting it on, the one on the right that you see on the right popped off, and I had to take the thing apart and start over again, but I got it this time. Let's see, do I have to modify anything? Not really, except for what I said about the tie wrap there, just to make for security, and the vacuum line. Otherwise, we should be good. And this is the 987 MAF down here, so which I put in. So now I have to make up the distance between here and here, up here. Ooh, this is going to be fun. I also just noticed that there, you see, this is the MAF connector, and where is my lovely little electrical connector? Now, can we spot the problem? Yes, of course. It's not the same connector, so that means I'm going to have to get a 987 connector. Both of them are 5 pins, so it shouldn't be a problem, and I'll just have to adapt that onto this wiring so that I can use the 987 MAF. I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of the Porsche Boxster S air intake modification. The final episode will be available soon, hopefully.